For pound, the best home fragrance and beauty products, you need to go to ashkicking.com.
Hi, this is Brittany Madison, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Okay, now blow.
Okay, sorry.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Paulie Malignaggi, he gave his take on this Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter fight, which I feel is one of the best fights of 2018. And he pretty much agrees with my assessment when it comes to how difficult this fight will be or should be for Mikey Garcia. He said that it's easy for people to just automatically say, oh, you know, Robert Easter, he doesn't really have a chance. Look at how he looked in the Fortuna fight, and et cetera, et cetera. This is an easy fight. You know, Mikey Garcia wins this fight hands down. Paulie believes that if Robert Easter goes in there using his reach and height, he can pose a lot of problems for Mikey Garcia. But I'll take what Paulie said one step further. I believe that if Robert Easter uses his height and his reach against Mikey Garcia, and every once in a while he tries to rough up Mikey Garcia and works on the end, that may present even more problems for Mikey Garcia. Now, on the flip side, if Mikey Garcia, if he cuts the distance and he goes on the inside and he shows that he can fight on the inside, that may make it a tough fight for Robert Easter as well. But see, we really don't have to talk too much about what makes it a tough fight for Robert Easter, because the majority of people feel that Robert Easter is the underdog anyway, right? I mean, the majority of people, they feel he really doesn't have a chance. So in a situation like that, it would make more sense to talk about the chances that the underdog has, because he's already expected to lose the fight. I was thinking about it before I made this video, and I said to myself, the situation of this fight, it kind of reminds me of Oscar De La Hoya versus Shane Mosley. Not in terms of style, but in terms of perspective, how people see this fight playing out. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember when Shane Mosley moved up to fight against Oscar De La Hoya. No one gave Shane Mosley a chance in that fight. And it was just so surprising to me, because you had Shane Mosley, who had beat Oscar De La Hoya in the amateurs. In fact, Oscar De La Hoya actually moved up in weight in the amateurs when he went to the Olympic trials, so he didn't have to fight Shane Mosley again in the Olympic trials. Okay? This is how good Shane Mosley was. And in the pros, Shane Mosley, he repeated exactly what he did in the amateurs, and he beat Oscar De La Hoya decisively. But going into that fight, the majority of people thought Shane Mosley had no chance. And this is how many people see the Robert Easter versus Mikey Garcia fight. A lot of people, they don't see Robert Easter having a chance. And I guess you can attribute a lot of that to Mikey Garcia's success. Mikey Garcia has been looking sensational in his outings against good competition. But I truly believe that Robert Easter, he's been tested more than Mikey Garcia has been. Because I truly believe that a Mikey Garcia versus Richard Comey fight, that would be a 50-50 fight. Mikey Garcia, he would be tested just as much as he's going to be tested in this Easter fight. That's the type of opponent that Robert Easter was in the ring with that night. And Robert Easter, he passed that test with flying colors, regardless if you want to say you thought Richard Comey won the fight. The most important thing, what I seen in that fight, was Robert Easter, he showed that he can take a punch. He showed he can deal with adversity. He showed that he does not buckle under pressure. And this is something by way of contrast. This is another reason why you can't compare Robert Easter to Adrien Broner. You know, a lot of fans, they're just comparing Robert Easter. I mean, let's just be realistic. They're just comparing Robert Easter to Adrien Broner because they're both black and because they come out of the same stable. But the truth is, their styles are nowhere near the same. Obviously, you look at Robert Easter's height. Robert Easter, he's a tall fighter, but he can fight like a tall fighter, or he can fight like an aggressive short fighter at the same time. like I said, he showed a lot of resilience. He showed a lot of durability in his fights against different opponents like Fortuna, Denis Shafikov, Richard Comey, etc., etc. Now, once again, if you look at the dichotomy, you look at how Adrien Broner performed against Mikey Garcia. There's no doubt about it. Adrien Broner, he shelled up. He shelled up, he froze up, and he would not let his hands go. Because for whatever reason, I don't know if it was something that Mikey Garcia caught Broner with early, and it just made him extremely reluctant to engage with Mikey Garcia, but whatever it was, he took Broner's heart and confidence away from him in that fight. That will not happen in the Robert Easter fight. And I'm telling you guys right now, I mean, I could see this fight playing out a lot of different ways. I could see Robert Easter doing well and getting caught with a good punch and getting knocked out by Mikey Garcia. I could also see Robert Easter catching Mikey Garcia with something, knocking him down or possibly knocking him out. This is that type of fight. You know, this is not to suggest that I'm telling you guys that I see Robert Easter winning this fight hands down. I'm just telling you guys that I agree with Paulie Malignaggi that this is a much tougher fight than people are anticipating right now. Because once again, Mikey Garcia has never faced a style like Robert Easter's. A guy who's tall, who's rangy, who's athletic. You know, the funny thing is usually Mikey Garcia is the tall, rangy guy in the ring. I mean, if you recall when he fought against Orlando Salido, Mikey Garcia, he won that fight using foot movement and using his height and his reach against the much shorter Orlando Salido. But now, Mikey Garcia, he's going to be forced to put himself in more danger because he's going to have to go in there and cut the distance and try to make this more of an inside fight. Now, and I'm not suggesting he do that the entire night, but he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to do it at some point during this fight. So we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. But once again, I totally agree with Paulie Malignaggi's assessment. I believe this is going to be a very difficult fight. And not only did Paulie Malignaggi say this, not only am I saying this, someone else said this. And it's really important that this guy said it. Mikey Garcia, he also said that he thought that Robert Easter would be his most difficult fight out of all the champions at 135. He said this to me in my own interview about a year ago. You know, so that's what it is. We'll see if this becomes Mikey Garcia's toughest fight, or we'll see if it becomes one of his easiest fights. But once again, do not compare Robert Easter to Adrien Broner. This is the reason why, unfortunately, for Mikey Garcia, he didn't get a lot of credit for his win over Adrien Broner, because after that fight, the majority of people talked about Adrien Broner not performing as opposed to Mikey Garcia overperforming, if you understand what I'm saying. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a situation where Mikey Garcia was forced to push himself. It was a situation where, in a certain way, Adrien Broner, he conceded, right? He tapped out basically after around the second round. And from that point on, it was just killing time until the last round. I mean, that's pretty much how that fight played out. It will not play out that way in the Robert Easter fight. I can guarantee you that. Once again, I said this before and I'll say it again. I was there. I covered that fight live, Mikey Garcia versus Adrien Broner. And I remember right after the fight, I talked to Adrien Broner and I talked to Robert Easter. And I asked Robert Easter why a fight with him would be different against Mikey Garcia versus, you know, how Broner looked. And he basically said, listen, man, I like to fight. That's all he said. He said, I like to fight. So basically, he said that you ain't gonna see me freeze up like Adrien Broner did. I'm gonna be in there fighting. And that's what I expect to see. Win, lose, or draw, I expect to see Robert Easter in there fighting. I expect to see Mikey Garcia in there fighting like he's never fought before. This fight should bring out the best of both fighters. Oh yeah, guys, I'm about to get my grub on. We got some extra seasoning with the bees all over the bananas. Oh, I'm about to make the news over here. I'm about to get attacked by a swarm of killer bees. Thai killer bees right now. I like to eat like this. Look at the bees are so cool, they're not even messing with me. They like me. Even the bees are cool out here. Everybody is cool out here in Thailand. Even the bees are cool. But this is what I came for. Even though the bananas with the bees on them look real tasty, I actually came over here for these right here. Ooh, lizards. They got all kind of extra food over here, y'all.
In the kitchen, wrist twisted like a stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like a stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like a stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like a stir fry.